show with no name, where today we'll be doing a review on the dystopian novel, The Age of Miracles. I'm your host, Jack Cox, coming in today. The Age of Miracles by Karen Thompson Walker is a dystopian novel written in 2012. What went awry in this story was caused by an environmental disaster, the Earth's rotation increasingly slowing down, which led to worldwide sickness, crop shortage, secession, and most people felt unable to adapt to this and never knew when to sleep or be awake. It also just made people fearful of what could happen now, since this makes it clear that things are probably more likely to happen than people may have originally thought. The best that the world could really do was just adapt to survive, as that's the underlying theme in this novel. Even if they had to keep going with this, since keep in mind the slowing of the Earth only increased this, it would only get more extreme as time progressed. The main character, Julia, resists the change like most everyone else in the world at the time, by basically pretending like the slowing never really occurred and attempting to live like normal. She didn't exactly prevail with that, however, and she kinda just lived erratically. I would have tried to adapt like some of the people in that world because, again, adapt to survive. Exactly what they do is adjust their circadian rhythm to the days and nights, which to me sounds much more effective than not doing it. As mentioned just a second ago, the underlying message of this story is that you must adapt to survive. I'm sure you've realized that I've said that probably like 3 times now. But anyway, more in depth on that, I basically mean that anytime you encounter a problem or change in life, if you can't change it back or destroy it, then do your best to play along with it. This is how the theme could apply to real life. Trying to always stay the same isn't a good idea just because it's what you're used to, so take a risk every once in a while. If I had to state an opinion about the dystopian genre alone, I would honestly say that it's definitely imperfect. The greatest weakness of the genre is that the plot is usually never really clear and why it came to be. It always seems to just jump straight into the plot without any real explanation of what may have happened previously for this to become normal. For example, take Panem from the Hunger Games. Not to judge the series too much, but having districts that can go for only one thing logically makes no sense. District 4 is for fishing only. Nothing else is allowed to be exported from that area. I mean, that's such a waste of materials. Like, why wouldn't the government just want whatever they can get? It's such a weird way to rule a nation. It also makes no sense geographically because it's in the southeast US. Because, that's what everyone thinks of when they think of the fishing industry. I mean, at least put it in, Washington State or something. And the president of the nation is so up in himself, that no matter what happens, he just assumes that he never does anything wrong, when, clearly his plans just about never work. It all just doesn't make sense. Guess what happens in the end? The government collapses. Not because of the effort of the rebellion, really, because the government is just really that poorly constructed. To be fair, this is a really good example of my point, but I tried, and I really can't think of a dystopian plot that has a real good explanation even outside of this. I appreciate the concept of dystopians, and maybe the message is the main motive and not really the entertainment or logic, but I think they still got a ways to go before they're mastered. All of that to say this, as far as The Age of Miracles is concerned, it's just alright. The plot is again not fully explained, so it's hard to really immerse into it. It's cursed by that dystopian nature, so it just barely falls flat in that area. Don't get me wrong, it's a fun one to run through, but was unfortunately held back by its genre type. This is a one-off novel, not part of a series. To be honest though, it feels like it should be, since the ending is a cliffhanger. You read it and you just feel like it's a part 1 kind of book, since the loose ends of the start aren't exactly tied up. The days extended to weeks, Julia has practically no close friends anymore, and she still lives with her parents as she hopelessly tries to find a job. Maybe the author was trying to write a sequel but ran out of time or money or motivation. Hard to say, but that's what I think. Now for the $1,000,000 question. Do I recommend this book? It's really not that valuable of a question, to be honest. I kind of think it's obvious at this point. In case it wasn't though, not really. Unless you dislike good endings with resolved plots and tied ends, I wouldn't suggest you spend your time on this one. It's just okay. But hey, if you're a dystopian madman, don't let me stop you. Go for it. And that concludes this episode. If you like this one, considering following to never miss a new episode. Or visit our merchandise website, because speaking as part of a multi-bazillionaire podcast company, we just need more money. With all being said, thanks for listening. See ya.